Maybe if Altec's
forwards.
top is at the bottom of the abyss, Altec's bottom is at the top of the abyss.
Hmm. Yeah, that's
That was what the
that's a
boulders
good way to
were
think about.
Altec's poop joke.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No, I love that. It sounds like Altair needs to drink more water.
Yeah.
That is not healthy poop. Um,
No.
What is up, guys? It is Quadash here. We are back with another Phantom Abyss questions and answers with the devs, week 5. Today we got Jed with us, and of course our one and only JM, who is going to be traversing the temples as we talk to Jed about all his fantastic traps that he has made. Here we go.
Greetings, intrepid explorers. I forgot the whole thing. Never mind. Hi, everybody. I'm JM from Devolver, and this is Jed from WIBY, the creators of Phantom Abyss. Hi, Jed.
Hey JM, hey everyone, how are ya?
I'm doing all right. Jed here is the, what do you call yourself? The architect, the maestro?
Yeah, I'm a game designer, so I sort of tackle a bit of everything, but primarily for Phantom Abyss, I've been making a lot of environments and traps and general ways to kill our lovely players.
Well, Jed, you're going to see a lot of your products working their magic today as I attempt to phantom the abyss.
I'm excited to see you. It gives me energy to see players.
So, now you know who to blame when you die to these traps of Phantom Abyss. It's going to be Jed. But on to the first question. And it was something I never really gave thought to as well as many of these questions. What if a temple had multiple entrances and exits? Now, Jed goes a different direction with the question. I'll follow it up afterwards. But here is what Jed has to say about that question. And sorry about the mic quality, it does get fixed.
Will a room ever have multiple entrances or exits? There are a couple of rooms, especially in the latest update, that have multiple entrances or exits. The game randomly chooses an entrance or exit from a set of potential entrances or exits. There won't. The only room that ever has multiple entrances is pre-relic room, where you sort of have to open all of the locks to get into the relic room. Yeah, but otherwise there's not. It makes it difficult to get to the end if there's multiple entrances.
If I understand what Ward was trying to say, is that it is possible to have a temple where one room has multiple ways to get in and out. Maybe one's easier, one's harder, one has more chests, one doesn't. I think that'd be a really cool concept. I just think adding it to the temple might be a little bit difficult, which is why they have multiple entrances and exits. It's just the game randomly chooses which door is open, which door is closed, which is why sometimes you're going up a room and then sometimes you go back down that room in opposite direction because it's still the same room, it's just different entrances and exits that the game is choosing for you. But he does have another question that I think is a fantastic question, asking more about the lore, more about the people that live there. Here you go.
will we ever be seeing residential themed rooms where the past civilization would have lived, like houses, etc., or is that not how the lore works? This is actually something that I really want to do when I get a chance to make more rooms. I've been working on traps at the moment, but yeah, I really want to make more rooms that sort of communicate the lore. So I want to make rooms that have sort of like forges where the chains were created. I've already made like a bunch of like little temples and churches and chapels where people might have prayed, where you can also find treasure. But yeah, I definitely want to make more rooms like that.
That's really cool.
Because I think it's really interesting to come across these little rooms, and it creates a richness in the game to pause and be like, oh, that's interesting. That's how people may have lived. Maybe I'll make like a bunch of toilets, because that's
Are you like low key like segueing this whole game into like actual like archaeology lessons, like, you know, studying people's waste bins and where they prepare their food and make their tools? Like, oh, it's about the traps, but hey, did you know?
yeah. I mean, I think that kind of just happens naturally. Like when I'm trying to find inspiration for rooms that I build, or sometimes traps, I like look at architecture from all over the world. And yeah, I just think adding those little sections where people may have lived, or made food, or created some of the traps that are killing you, sort of increases immersion.
Yeah.
It just makes it a better game in general. So yeah, definitely like try and draw from multiple fields to make good levels.
So if anything like me, I don't spend too much time in the caverns. I spend a lot of time in the ruins or in the inferno. But this next question has a possibility of changing that.
The blue keys seem to be the rarest to get, as there don't seem to be many large chests in the caverns. Are there any plans to increase the amount they show? Maybe adding different / new treasure rooms. Yeah, there's definitely plans to sort of come back and balance the game so that everything's a bit more fair and even, and the flow of unlocking new content is nicer for the player. I definitely want to add new treasure rooms. I think that one of the coolest kind of rooms that you can make, because you can be really decorative and just focus on wowing the player. Like I love making rooms that when a player walks in there, they're just like, wow, those are my favorite kind of rooms to make. But yes, we do definitely have plans to increase that amount and decrease in other places. Sorry about the decrease, but that happens with games.
So to give some context for this next question, the question before was about the music for the Eye of Agony. Apparently it was a very intense track that they kind of removed since the Eye of Agony would spawn in front of you and kind of blare the music in your face. I am a little curious to see what this fourth Guardian is going to be, because I do want its own soundtrack. Here you go.
In the same vein as above, is Defiler and the next Guardian going to get a theme too? Don't think so. I'm not sure. There's no plans for that at the moment. But again, that would be great.
So I was really excited to have a fourth Guardian soundtrack, but it looks like that may not happen. Fingers crossed, it's still a possibility. But this next question involves a room that, as far as I know, in the new update no longer exists, but it's possible it could still be out there in the realm of Phantom Abyss.
The next question is from Kayul. And it just says, you want to explain this room, Jed. And it is a room with a bunch of traps and a giant pit full of spikes and no way to get over it. This is just one of those rooms that I made when I was like really tired and I needed some energy. No, that meant to have sort of like moving platforms that you can jump across. It's like a really slippery bug that we come across. Sometimes moving platforms just didn't appear. It took us, and they didn't appear in like the most random places. So
the tutorial.
Yeah. The tutorial is a famous one, and in the end we built like a little path underneath the platform for if they didn't show up. So I don't even know if that bug is really fixed. Like, yeah, we legit just made like a little stairway down and across so that if they didn't show up, there would still be a way to get through the tutorial.
Oh, that's good.
Anyway, yeah, sorry about that, everyone. Sorry about that room. If you ever come across that kind of thing, just obviously you're gonna have to throw yourself into the spikes, but you can just sort of like shake your fist and say, "Me, Jed." Just have another crack.
With Jed here, I think it is important to kind of pick his brain a little bit, kind of see what he does to form these crazy traps that he has now made. And Fletch, I think, made an awesome question. So here we go.
Okay, so next question from Fletch Kick. What are some of the criteria that you have to consider when making a room? What makes a room good or bad in terms of level design and playability? Okay, so we have a lot of criteria. Criteria, I guess, is different depending on the game that you make. So for Phantom Abyss, we want we want it to be visually interesting first up. We want the pathway to be clear for the player, especially when we have like the potential for these guardians to show up and they're potentially chasing you very quickly. It can be quite frantic. So we want it to always be sort of like a clear where you have to go. Whether it's guiding the player through sort of like cabin with like multiple platforms with little torches. We visually want to guide the player with where they have to go. One of my personal criteria is when a player sort of goes into a room and they're just like, whoa, this is it's crazy. I sort of live for those woe moments. As far as playability goes, yeah, some of the newer rooms I got quite big. Like I got like really on my horse about making giant like woe rooms with like huge gaps that you can see off in the distance. And those rooms ended up being like really big and taking a long time to traverse. I didn't even think about that. So we made like the number of rooms on those floors be like less, so that it was still sort of the same time to go through. So there's a whole bunch of stuff to think about. But yeah, the main one is like you want it to be very clear where you have to go. Otherwise, with a combination of guardian, it can feel unfair, and we always want to avoid it feeling unfair. That's the biggest one.
One of my favorite things to do in Phantom Abyss is to try to find ways around traps, such as climbing over pillars for the spinning blades, or finding out that you can whip through boulders and not take any damage. I'll expand on that later. But how does Jed feel when we do stuff like that?
What's your reaction when people find ways to circumvent or bypass traps, like running under the corner of boulders, jumping around stuff on bridges, running over the top of crushing walls, etc.? Is it something I feel the need to fix, or is it more of an well played, I'll make the next ones harder? Yeah, I think from a design perspective, learning ways to trip up traps or like get around them is like a good form of like mastery. Players learning and ways to learning how traps act and how to get around them is like a good way to master the game. So sometimes I'll just leave them. Sometimes if it's just obviously broken and it's way too easy, I'll fix it. But other times I'll just leave it, because I'm a pretty firm believer in the concept of like a lucky run, and if you get enough of those easy traps, like it feels lucky, and it's a really, really good feeling to have. So I think I'd rather spend my time just making more variation and more opportunities for that to be lucky, if that makes sense.
So I know this has been brought up before multiple times regarding the Ice Whip debuff. Yes, I know I'm in the minority and I don't like it. I can already see your speedrunners typing over in the keyboard that it's such a good thing with the momentum and and all that good stuff. I don't like it. It is what it is. But Jed may have a solution for us.
Will frozen slippery floors be implemented into any of the temples combined with other traps? I think that'd be decent. There are a lot of people who really miss the icy feet curse from the ice whip. I miss it too. The icy feet curse is really cool. We're working on ways to bring that feeling back into the game. Frozen slippery floors may be a way that we're going to do that. They may not be, but yeah, there's a big chunk of the team who love the slippery floor feeling.
Icy patches I feel would best fit inside the cavern, since it kind of has that blue, cold feeling aesthetic that kind of is going along with all the other stone-like things in the caverns. Now, Jed didn't answer many questions in the Q&A about lore-related stuff. That's not his area of expertise, so he kind of wanted to leave that for the others. But he took this question very seriously, so I want you guys to pay attention to this question because it is super important.
There are boulders that have been rolling down those paths for hundreds, possibly thousands of years. How did they make so many? Okay, this one's an easy one. It's sort of like a system based on the Hanging Gardens of Babylon. And there's like a complex series of pulleys and based on hydraulics that bring the boulders come down and then they pull them. They go down and then they push back. Yeah, sounds pretty good to me, I reckon.
Yeah, that makes sense.
How did it? Yeah?
Yeah.
Or maybe they have like a boulder making machine, just sort of like
they're producing boulders at the top.
Yeah, and there's just down below a gigantic pile of boulders building up in the abyss. I'm not sure. Maybe Alex would cover that. Maybe Alex would cover that in the lore at some point.
As I mentioned before, I did have a question about whipping boulders. As much as I do enjoy it in the game, it makes sense for it to not be involved, as most people can't whip through a boulder and survive. That would not be very logical. I am sorry if you hear this bird just going crazy. But, anyways, here's what Jet has to say about whipping through a boulder.
From Quad Ostrich, why is it possible to whip through boulders without taking damage, even though you hear the crunching sound? That sounds like a bug.
Oh, way to spoil it for everybody, Quad.
Yeah, a bit of a pro tip for everyone for now, but I'm sure that'll be at some point.
With this new update Invasion and a couple of testing scenarios, I have concluded that they have removed the ability to whip through boulders, so it doesn't really matter about my question or what Jet has to say, but that was before this update, so again, I wanted to include it. Now back to more traps.
What is the process of making a level, temple layout, traps, testing, etc.? Yeah, so I start with pen and paper. I'll generally do like a little bit of a sketch, or I'll do like a few pages of sketches, and then I'll go back and I'll be like, oh, this one looks cool, that one looks cool, that one looks cool. And then I'll make it, and then I will show it to Ben, lead designer. Sometimes, but we've been doing less of those review sessions. Like the longer I work on stuff, the more confident I am. I've been working on the game for like almost a year now, so yeah, it's gotten to the point where I just sort of make stuff from sketch, so from sketch to creating it, to putting in game, and then the team just like sort of plays it, and they get to experience it as it goes. That's sort of the process, and then the team plays it, and we find issues, and then I fix them, and then we fix them, and then we give them to you, and then you play them, and then sometimes you find bugs as well, and then we fix them. And that's the process.
It's the circle of life.
Yeah, it's beautiful and majestic, and gives me energy.
The next question has a lot to it, so I think it's a great idea. I want to know what Jed thinks. Here we go. Nice, quick, and simple.
Any plans to add some kind of puzzle rooms as potential tiles if there are concerns about people getting stuck or otherwise being unable to solve due to the devouring rage? You can always set them up in such a way as to either leave them, but a correct solution leads to treasure, or an easier path and failure, instead of you just don't progress, leads to a normal path. Yeah, that's I've had that exact kind of idea. I think it would be really, really cool. I think that is a great idea because you get to watch other ghosts have a crack at the puzzle and then use that to sort of guide or influence your guess. Yeah, that is a great idea, and I think it should.
Having the possibilities of having puzzles in the temple is a fantastic idea. I really do enjoy it. I prefer or lean more on this side of having puzzles to unlock more chests. I think that would probably be the best way. And I think they would have to kind of keep it in the ruins or in the caverns. For me, I think the Inferno and the Rift would have the Devouring Rage too fast for any person to go through a puzzle unless the puzzle is very, 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 very simple.
Answer honestly, am I a sadist? Look, I don't know. I saw this question earlier. I was sort of like scrolling through the list and I was like really thinking about it. And I was like, you know what? That's just one for my therapist. Thank you for like bringing it to my attention. I will definitely bring it up in our next session. But I don't think so. I don't know. But you know, watching JM play and die and struggle, it is, you know, giving me a bit of energy. So it's possible.
It's like
I can tell you that I'm definitely in the right job.
I just panicked.
I love that we are picking Judd's brain on how he makes trap, what's his method, what does he think, and to go on top of that, I love the different trap mechanics inside the temple. I think my favorite and most overlooked mechanic is the fact that we can stop a spinning blade with just the whip. It is aggravating at times when you are trying to run through a area that is not affected by the blade and someone has to stop it and you get hit by the blade. It can be a little annoying, but the fact that it is possible in the temple to stop blades I think is a really cool mechanic, and there are other tons of mechanics in the game that I really do enjoy.
What is the main design philosophy behind trap mechanics? As in, what thought do you put into traps to make them fair yet interesting to find multiple ways around? Were there trap ideas that were cut for any reason mentioned above or otherwise? Yeah, we when we try and design new traps, we try and think of ways to move or behavior that we're trying to encourage our players to do. So whether it's, creating traps with deep pits or things that you need to climb, because we wanted to increase verticality in the game, or whether we wanted to make a trap that players can interact with the whip because we want players to be using whip more. The main thing when we think about traps is that they have to be fair, and we try and create like a different variety of ways to interact in the game and to move in the game and to always keep things interesting. But fairness, I think, is the big one. Fairness, and then what we want to encourage players to do, or how we want them to behave.
I enjoy this next question, and I'm curious how you speedrunners feel, and if you guys want it included as well.
Maybe not for this dev to answer. Will there be any design to reward speeding through a layer? Points for a run, extra keys, or maybe something else in the works? They're speeding through a layer. We try to encourage different ways of players to behave, depending on what whip they have. So if you have a whip that gives you, bonus coins for like opening a chest, you obviously want to speed ahead and be the first ones to get to those chests, right? And then there's the whip where the other phantoms, they like steal coins from you. So we try to encourage different ways of playing, whether it's speeding through a level or taking your time in a level, so that players can choose how they play or are forced to play a certain way if they're trying to upgrade a certain whip. That's how we try to reward speeding through a layer, as you say. I guess that's the best I can do.
I like how Jed handled that question about how when they are thinking about different levels and floors, they think about how are the phantoms going to progress and how are the different playing styles going to progress. Those that want to speedrun everything, those that want to grab every single chest, and those that are kind of in the middle of that. This next question, though, doesn't 100% correlate since the new update, but I still wanted to include it. Here we go.
Since the overtone update, this checkered spike trap room was added. Sometimes the traps are almost impossible to dodge, which makes this room very difficult even for skilled players. Can we expect nerf? That is a room that I created. I know the exact one you're talking about. Yeah, I remember playing yesterday. Actually, I was doing some QA, and I came across that room and was just hating myself. So yeah, I'll probably nerf it. Yeah, you're right. That one's on me. Thank you for the feedback. I really I thrive on feedback. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for what I did to you all. That's my B.
I have a list of traps that need to be nerfed and rooms.
Please send them my way.
Anything with a pit in it, it's got to go.
All right. Fair. Wiping all pits from the game.
Now this question doesn't go out just to the speedrunners. I am curious on how everyone is enjoying the small, tight corridors that are inside the temple. With that being said, Jed does think about us getting chased by the Devouring Rage. Sometimes they just get a little too creative and makes it super windy and almost unbearable with the Devouring Rage chasing behind you.
Do you design traps and rooms around Guardians? If so, what features do you consider when layering Guardian play on top of a room layout? I think I might have spoken about this a little bit. I recently made some rooms that have like really like tight corridors and they like wind around each other.
I super hate those.
And I had to, sorry about that. I actually had to nerf those a little bit because they wound so much that the Chaser Guardian was quite problematic. Like you can't quite get away from them. But those levels only pop up in the early temple, I believe, which means that the Chaser Guardian is quite slow. And I also made it slightly less windy as well. So yeah, we do design traps and rooms around Guardians. It's something we have to, otherwise it feels unfair and not fun.
With this, I can't even with this next question. Here you go.
Will area 4 or 5 have a trap that is extremely hard to dodge, insta kills you, crashes your game, deletes your progress, and uninstalls your game? Yeah, that's every room has one. It's it's my fave. Yeah, it's the soul nuke. You also lose your soul as well. So sorry.
Brutal.
Sorry about that. We're still working on the soul draining technology. It's quite difficult to extract the player's game from the player's soul from the game. It only currently works if you have a webcam.
With the introduction to homing jack-o'-lanterns and exploding dark machines, what if we were to include something a little bit more subtle, a little bit more aware of your surroundings?
From Blitzer, a tripwire trap. I think we tried something like that ages ago, and it was for some reason maybe too sneaky, or the visual stimulus was like too intense to make that feel fair. But we're always able to hit the new traps. Maybe it's something we can come back and explore. That would be really, really cool.
I do enjoy JM's little dance that he does at the beginning of the clip. It's perfect. But even JM has a question for Jed, so JM, take it away.
Can I ask you about like your journey to becoming, level designer on Phantom Abyss? Like, where did you start? How long have you been doing game dev? That kind of thing?
Yeah. So I've been a game dev for like 8 years now, I think. Started at Half Brick with most of the rest of this team. I think we all met at Half Brick, except for a couple of us now, where I was like an intern game designer. I left there and started my own company called Affable Games, where we made a little mobile game called Astro Crash. And then we made a game called Speaking Simulator, which is a comedy game about a robot that is trying to pretend to be human. So you need to like make the robot's mouth and tongue move around to make words come out and just have a conversation.
Uh-huh.
And then, yeah, after that, I came here. That's the short of it. I also worked with the Whippy team on their previous game, Mr. Shifty. Yeah, I think I have 6 or 7 games under my belt now.
Oh wow.
But yeah, Speaking Simulator is the biggest one. That was just a team of 2, me and another guy. But yeah, we finished that up last year, end of last year. And yeah, my partner in that company got a big hot new job. So he decided to stop the indie game dev and be a responsible dad.
Aww.
Yeah, and then started working on this. So and it's been amazing. This is yeah, probably the coolest game I've ever worked on, and an amazing team as well.
Nice.
That's been my journey in really shortness.
So as I stated before, I really tried to get this video out before the update dropped. Not successful. What can I say? I mean, there's more of them than me, and they're working a whole lot harder than I am. But I've been enjoying this update. The invasion update has been so much fun. I've enjoyed the new traps, the new layouts, the new rooms, the new relics. But if you were curious on what Jed thought about the update before it was dropped, here you go.
Is there anything about the future of the game you can tell us that you guys already haven't? No, I don't. Yeah, we're gonna keep working on it. We've got so many ideas. I don't know what you guys already haven't told you, but we try to keep everything hush. Yeah, there's so much happening, and the next update is massive. That's
Ooh.
what I can tell you.
I don't think anybody said that it's massive
Huge.
yet.
It's gigantic.
Nice.
Colossal. So that is me. I think it's us.
Well, sweet. Thanks so much
Anything else?
No, that's it.
No worries.
So that's going to wrap up questions and answers with the dev week 4 with Jed and JM. That's a lot of J's. But I want to thank you all for sticking this far and watching this and enjoying it. If you have enjoyed it, you can hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe. Didn't like it, hit that dislike button. Leave a comment on how I can improve. One of the things that my friend said is I should try outside a little bit. So I'm here in my car. So this is a little bit new, a little fancy. If you liked it in the car, if you prefer me in the room, or if you want me to try outside with enjoying nature, let me know. I can give that a shot as well. With all that being said, thank you all again for watching. Until next time, I shall see y'all later.
I actually haven't considered that idea. That's a really cool idea. We don't try to copy Indiana Jones directly. And I think compared with this is like so much more its own thing now. But yeah, that is a cool idea. Sort of like an interesting puzzle influenced by visuals. I like that chart right here, actually. That's sick.